Bike now,
No judgment.
road 6.5 miles. I'm just.
Call this meeting of the Central Virginia Transportation Planning Organization to order. And got confirmation that we have enough for a quorum. So I would like to allow electronic participation.
So moved.
Second. You got the names?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. And then all those in favor of allowing electronic participation, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. All right. Also, I'd like to seek a motion to amend the agenda to include DRPT 5303 program application consideration.
Something as clear as that. I'm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll know more in a moment.
Hear more about that.
What is it?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Got a motion in a second. Frank and Drew again. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Thank you. What have we agreed?
So Kelly is, well, I will tell you that the rationale behind this, Kelly was very thoughtful. She's trying to save us from having a meeting right around Easter.
Hey,
Hey.
okay. All right. Way to go, Kelly.
So,
And you can read it.
so that is, that's the rationale behind this.
I'm with that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, Kelly.
All right.
Oh, look, I got some kudos out of it now. Perfect.
Next, we have the approval of the minutes for January 16, 2025.
So again, move approval. Second.
Hey,
There's the only two people here.
yeah, no one's going to believe we really had a quorum. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Next, we have fiscal year 2026 Unified Planning Work Program. This is for informational purposes only. Hello?
All right, I'm gonna have to start talking with a nice North Carolina Southern drawl to make us take a little time here.
Oh, no, I'm ready to set a record. Quick government is good government too, yeah.
So we have the draft, attachment 3 is the draft UPWP, our urban work program. We do this every year. It's the program that that staff executes projects and programs where we utilize our VDOT allocation dollars and our DRPT dollars, which y'all allowed us to adjust the agenda there. What you have in front of you is just the wording. It does not include how we will specifically allocate the dollars. What you have in what I provided for you in the staff report is showing that our FY26 allocation, the full project budget is $614,000, which is far larger than a typical year. Frank is right, he knows that. And that is really a function of our FY26 allocation dollars, which are $344,252 with a full project. That's broken at the 275, 402 at the federal, and then the equal dollars, the state and local match. Where we have such a large amount in this fiscal year is we had a considerable direct rollover from FY24. If you recall, the way our urban dollars work, what we don't spend, we don't lose it, but it rolls over and is banked for not the direct following year, but 2 years down the road. So that's why we have this FY24 rollover, which was a rollover amount of 200, well, the federal amount, the total program amount with our match is $269,992. And that rollover, those rollover dollars, again, is a function of we have still not fully staffed, right? We've been, at one time, we had pretty much 4 full-time staff that were pulling from VDOT dollars. On top of that, we brought in quite a bit of federal dollars. You know, our Safe Streets and Roads for All, we brought in the $280,000. And then we had some of our DRPT dollars. So, you know, it is a large budget. And if you'll notice the way the work program is worded, we really don't have any direct, unlike this year, right? We have the 221 corridor study and we had the intersection safety study. Next year's work program is really, will be the long range transportation plan. That's always 2 years. So that will eat up a portion of that. And then it's a continuation within our multimodal plan with those dollars actually coming from DRPT. So if you'll look on it's section 3, it's page 12. You know, I added a paragraph. It says this task, it's the last paragraph before products, the bullets say on page 12. This task provides staff support, member jurisdictions, and with VDOT and CVTPO approval, other transportation stakeholders for transportation-related grant development services, including writing, GIS matter, and other data-related activities and services. And then further down, we also have that, sorry, I want to have that March. Sorry. Oh, and below that, the task provides staff flexibility to assist with short projects, program adjustments, and other support needs. Very short sentence, but what that allows is if through the safety action plan, through the long range transportation plan, through the multimodal plan, or any of the STARS projects that are underway, additional studies can be executed through the year, as long as it's brought up, rightly so, to the TPO for approval of those dollars. But most importantly, what I'll bring back to you guys, the full UPWP for your approval in May. So we do not have to have an April meeting, where I will distribute the dollars similarly as we have been, and Alec makes sure that we don't, and VDOT and our DRPT partners, that we are judicious and, you know, respectful of the dollars and, you know, and what doesn't get spent. And, you know, it's for you guys to determine projects and we don't lose any of it. It's for planning projects.
Can I
It
make
is
sure
a large budget.
Can I make sure I understand this? Right, so we've got the work plan here with no dollars attached to it. The work plan is where we take these federal dollars, state, a little bit of local match, and we allocate it across long-range planning efforts that we need to have in place to draw down additional grant dollars, the multimodal plan. But then you also just identified the one bucket of money that's effectively technical assistance from the PDC, so that over the course of the year, if our locality finds a project or a grant, you guys have capacity to reach in and help us out. And am I correct that most of these dollars need to go back to the priorities that are identified in the work plan?
Correct.
Safety, pedestrian and bicycle safety, roadways and bridges.
Correct.
Transit and freight, right? So if my locality comes up with a project along one of those lines, it doesn't have to be enumerated in the plan now. It can happen over the course of the year. Am I correct?
That's correct. And it's a matter of a locality saying, hey, because obviously I have met with all of your staff and the question was, hey, do you have a specific project? But in earnest, there are a lot of credit to VDOT. There are STARS projects underway. Just, you know, I think all the localities, you have a lot of things going on. And so it was like, we don't really have that specific corridor study that we need right now. And we also have a long range transportation plan and the multimodal plan for the city and the Safe Streets and Roads for All that are looking at specific engineering analysis. And so the idea is until you know what you want to spend it on specifically, it'll be there.
Thank you. I'd like to make sure I'm always connecting the acronyms to what I can actually access over the course of the year.
And then the other, so that's the VDOT dollars. And then the other dollars, and it's this, it starts on page 17. And those are the dollars that we receive that are federal transit and through our administered through DRPT. And that budget, we have not even received those allocation dollars as yet, but we can assume they're similar to past years. It ranges anywhere from 142,000 to 147,000. The last few years have been, let's see, I have it in front of me. Let's see. This year was 145,968. 24 was 145,733. FY 22 was 144,727. We haven't heard any indication, and Alec in his role as the chair of BAMPO has not heard anything to suggest that there's going to be any big changes to that. And similarly, the work program has not changed. It's very much the dollars here is a lot of the services that we provide and in connecting with GLTC and transit. And it is through these dollars that we are funding the Lynchburg multimodal plan. So in this area, we do have 2 new projects identified, and they're shown on page 19. One is number 9. It's to do a GLTC bus stop inventory and facility recommendation plan. Philip Gabatuller did that, I think, back in 2018, but there's new methodologies that DRPT has established the state's recommendation. So we will follow the state's facility recommendation plan. We're going to execute that. That was a request from GLTC. And then number 10 is really to look at and execute a Timberlake GLTC service expansion study. Oftentimes we've heard where there's interest in expanding bus service. We heard the same thing on 221 a number of times, but ultimately you need to ask, if you build it, will they come and do they really want to? So part of that will be executing surveys with businesses, surveys with the public to see what the need is and what the interest is and how that can support. And the plan would be really to then come up with, it will be step 1, not to come up with the dollars, but then to present within that plan where dollars can come from, and then to look more in the feasibility side. So that's really all I have.
I think that's basically the emphasis of the whole thing, right? This is to do some of the planning that facilitates future grant writing. There aren't really project-specific dollars that are going to put things into place, right? But we're going to study Timberlake and say, hey, we might be able to expand GLTC. Can we want to hand it up? We come to you and say, hey, we need a corridor study. And we try to tap into the resources.
Okay, thank you.
That's what I have there. And again, we'll bring it to you in May. It'll have the dollars. So the TTC will have seen all that prior to and ask your approval in May.
Great. All right. Any other questions? All right. Next, we have the DRPT 5303 program application. I'm going to hand that off to you as well.
Yes, that's what we adjusted the agenda for. It is something we do every year. It is the 5303 program are the dollars to execute those initiatives that I just talked about, the Timberlake study and the multimodal plan. And it's a little different. We apply for it every year, but it is an 18-month program. So we always have 2 cycles going at one time. But this resolution provides the authority for Alec to be able to submit that application on behalf of the TPO.
Just a quick question on that. I want to make sure I'm crosswalking this. So the work plan included in item 10, execute Timberlake GLTC expansion study. So that's over there with the federal money that we would get, right? And then you just said the 5303 was to execute that. Bridge me between the two. One is to do the phase 1 study of the expansion, and then 5303 would be
5303 is the TPO's planning dollars. So it's almost in reverse. I should have asked for the resolution before this. It is 5303 dollars that allows staff to do everything that is within section 2 of our work programs. So everything that that has articulated what staff
Okay,
does
so
on page.
5303 is the federal money you referenced
pays
for
for
funding
staff.
section 2.
Correct,
I got you. Okay,
correct.
thank you.
Apply every year.
So with that clarification on resolution approved. Resolution authorizing the filing of an application with Department of Rail and Public Transportation for grant and federal funds under the Transit Administration Section 5303.
All right. Who got that one? All
Don't matter.
right, put down Tom. All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. What about electronically? I'm not hearing some ayes.
Aye.
All right, Marty, you look like you're still muted.
We all do
today.
I got you. All right, any opposed? All right, I have it. Next, we have the fiscal year 2025 work program update. Kelly, now we got to start speeding up.
Still do a little draw action here. So we have just a quick update, the Route 221 corridor study. We actually had a public meeting on Tuesday night for that study where some of the recommendations were presented for the improvements for safety and then throughput, congestion, and efficiency along that roadway. We had pretty good turnout. That survey is available. I encourage you to go on and take this, look at this survey because it really allows you to look at the recommendation intersections at Perryville, Corporate Park, Burn Bridge and Thomas Jefferson, Ambassador and Clover Hill, and Enterprise and Gristmill. You can access that at the TPO website, CVTPO.org. So I encourage you to do that. And then that study will be completed and we'll working with Bedford County and when they want us to take that study to present to the Board of Supervisors. Then the Central Virginia Safety Action Plan. There was the Transportation Summit that took place on the 31st of January. It was good turnout. We had 71 people that had registered for that, but it was, if you recall, a sunny day. So I do think that impacted a lot of those folks that relied on transit that had registered, but we did have 43 participants for that day event. That was morning to noon event. And what I provided for you was just in your packet was a summary of what we heard as far as safety and goals and needs and then developing the strategies. You can see a copy of the presentation that was provided at the summit, a copy of the strategies that are underway and at the project website, that's cvsafestreets.org, or you can access anything just by going to the TPO website. And that draft plan will be brought to the TPO for informational purposes in its draft form at your May 15th meeting. We will then put the draft plan out for a public comment period, and then we'll bring it back to the TPO for your approval and adoption consideration at your July meeting. And so
We'll see it today. We'll see it again.
well, you don't have the draft plan here. What was in your packet was really just a summary of what was heard at the Transportation Safety Summit at the 31st. And then we've had good work group meetings and then interactions with your public safety, your schools, emergency personnel to really help in developing what will ultimately be the strategies, and then some of the engineering site evaluation that is being done with the engineers in coordination with your engineering staff and planning staff. So we'll bring the full draft plan. The consultants will be here to give a presentation to you of the draft plan at your May meeting. And then we'll put the draft plan out for public, and then the final will be brought to you for approval in July.
But the draft plan should speak to the items captured in this.
Correct.
Ongoing dialogues, right?
Correct.
Okay.
That was for information.
All right.
Right, the multimodal plan. Again, that's, I think the real fun of the multimodal plan will begin now that spring is here, right? We'll be having public outreach sessions and having cyclists and going to GLTC and talking to folks as they're actually getting on and off the bus and helping us develop corridors. We have our next steering committee meeting on the 27th of August. And that's really, again, we'll really start pumping out and asking people, you know, where are you biking? Where are your biggest challenges in walking? One of the things that will also be brought is the engineer, Timmons Group has developed a draft prioritization to look at the policy on how the city can evaluate, you know, how do you determine these gaps? Maybe how you prioritize going after this gap or extending this sidewalk based on various priorities. So that will be evaluated, or the draft of that concept will be brought at that 27th meeting. So again, that's just underway and move along. And then the US DOT Thriving Communities Program, that is also a Lynchburg project looking at the 12th Street at transit-oriented development. Again, that is federal funding. It is a USD federal funding. That program is still in play. And actually, we had the very good news that the program, we were awarded up to $50,000 to execute additional initiatives with that project. And so we've been working with city staff and developing a sub-award grant application that we will finalize to submit to USDOT on April 1st. And what we're proposing is one is to utilize $1,500 of that. We are going to be doing a housing summit in the summer. You'll hear more about that. But we want to look at bringing in a speaker to really talk about the nexus of transit and urban development and transit-oriented development and affordable housing in the context of workforce housing and what that can look at. Then we're also looking at, if it's approved, looking at with the city in partnership with their brownfields program and their Department of Economic Development, looking at to assist the city in developing a scope of work of how they could lay out some parameters that they want to see on some of their open spaces for development. So we'll see how that plays out, but it was exciting to know that we thought we were excited enough to get 3 years of technical assistance and the value of that, but they are providing an additional $50,000 to do some detailed consultant work. I believe that's a nice bonus.
All right. Next, we have opportunity for public comment. Anyone wishing to speak? All right. Hearing none, I'm going to close that and go to matters from the board or staff. This is an opportunity for BDOT or DRPT to GLTC to speak up. Anything?
Mr. Chairman, I do have one thing I want to share, but I just want to go to Rick Youngblood. Rick, do you have anything you want to share, sir?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll be real brief. The letters haven't formally gone out. They'll go out soon. April 23rd is our public meeting for the Secretary of Transportation to visit. And we'll be considering, and also Linda Green, our CTB member, be considering public input, and it'll be April 23rd from 4 to 6 at our BDOT Lynchburg District Office. And it's a great opportunity just to remind the Secretary of the teamwork and collaboration, certainly here at TPO, You have two projects. I think the 29 safety improvements in Campbell County might stretch to the boundaries of the TPO. I can't remember, but we have the Timberlake improvement from Greenview to Laxton. That's a candidate project that's considered for funding, 33.4 million. And then also, again, 29 safety improvements in southern Campbell County. That's 30.4 million. So there's $66.8 million right there out of the entire district, Lynchburg district funding for this round of smart scale. It's 82.4, I believe. So the vast majority of it's in Campbell County. So definitely want to make sure you're aware of that. And I would not pass up the opportunity to remind the secretary that we're here and we know how to make good with the investments he gives us.
So thank you for that, Chris. Appreciate VDOT, Rick's support as we prepared those applications. Excited to see our projects on the table, given what big bites they are. They are in Campbell, but of course, those are of regional interest. So anyone who wants to join me in April to say that, along with thank you and welcome to the company. And I really do appreciate all VDOT's support through that process.
And looking forward to hopefully seeing those projects get fully funded.
That'd be great. Yeah, absolutely.
Anyone else? How about members from the board? Oh, Marty.
You guys hear me all right?
Yes.
Outstanding. No, I just wanted to thank you guys for that. If you can, somebody shoot me an email on when the secretary's coming. If I am free, I'll be happy to show up to that and support you guys. Appreciate the work you're doing. Just to kind of put on people's radar, I'm sure everybody saw on the news that we approved a pretty large development off Wheaton Road. So just to kind of put on the radar, I think we're going to be looking at possible improvements down the road for Wigington for that, just because of the sheer volume of units. It's about 750 units. So that's something to keep on the radar. I think that's a pretty important road, both to Lynchburg residents and Bedford County residents. So I think we need to keep that on our radar. And if there's any opportunity to find additional funding to support enhancements for the safety on that road, that's something we would probably be very interested in.
All right. Anything else? All right. Hearing none, I'll seek a motion to adjourn. Got a motion and a second.
Both struck out.
I didn't get the best.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Our next meeting is May 15th.
Thank you, Kelly.
I was waiting.